What is up, my movie loving family? And speaking of family, let's talk about Fast and Furious, at least the latest one. Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, directed by David Leitch and starring Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, Vanessa Kirby, and Idris Elba. And this takes up after the last one. Here, Hobbs and Shaw have to reluctantly team up to take down another super villain. I have to call this character super villain because he's nigh unstoppable, and of course save the world in the process. So Hobbs and Shaw and Fast and Furious. Now this is one of those unlikely franchises. This is one of those it came out way back in the 2000s, and back then it filled a niche. It came out, it appealed to all the sports car or customized car enthusiasts out there, and it was basically like every other action movie I'd seen, but with a way cooler, younger cast. And it had fast cars, had pretty women. It's a product of its time, definitely. So to think that a franchise would be built from this seems insane, but we got Fast 5, which just kind of rebranded this entire thing. And it wasn't just about racing cars a quarter mile at a time. It turned into a whole action franchise like Mission Impossible. So now here we have Hobbs and Shaw, a spin-off of the Fast and Furious movies. And depending on how you look at it, some people are going to say it's fine, some people are going to say it's really good, and some people are going to say this one is a disappointment. So let's get into what I thought worked in this movie. First and foremost, I think this film overall has a good look to it. You could tell money was spent on this, of course. They have all these different location shots, and there are at least 3 action sequences in this movie that I thought were really, really well executed. David Leitch is a director. He worked on movies like John Wick. He was a producer on John Wick, the first one. But he also directed Atomic Blonde, a movie that had that famous, I don't know if how many of you have seen it. I think it's a really solid spy flick. And there's this awesome action sequence that it almost seems like it has no cuts to it. I can't remember any cuts to it. That takes place in a staircase type sort of thing. It's just really well done. So he knows how to shoot action. And like I said, there are 3 sequences here, 2 car chases, 1 fight sequence in the end that I thought looked really good. It looked polished. You could see what was going on, and even with all the CG enhancements that were taking place, I could put that aside, like I've done with previous Fast and Furious movies and the crazy shenanigans that those cars get into. I could put it aside and enjoy that for what it was. I also thought Jason Statham and The Rock, they are dynamic. I mean, in the previous one, we know that they don't really like each other, but it ended with them liking each other. For some reason, the bickering is continuing here, but whatever. They're back and forth. I mean, most of the time that stuff worked for me. They pick on each other, insult each other, that sort of thing. It's that whole buddy cop comedy type thing they have going on. And I think most of it works. Most of the line deliveries seem natural. It seems like 2 guys that just rib each other constantly, but there's that underlying respect that is building as the show goes along. Another strong point for me of this was Vanessa Kirby. I really thought she was one of the more sorry to kind of diss the leads here, but she was one of the better actors in this movie. She had her character was going through something really serious in this film, and I thought that she handled the drama a lot more realistically and a lot more believably than Dwayne and Jason did. But we'll get back to that. Idris Elba as the villain. Idris Elba is awesome. We all know that.
I'm Black Superman.
And he is basically an unstoppable force in this film. It is insane. There is an explanation for why he's so Terminator-like, so to speak. But you know what? Like I said, with this movie, you have to kind of put aside reality and just enjoy it for what it is. And I think he sold it. He sold most of what he had to bring. He sold it, and he was terrifying. Honestly, he made for a fun and I should say, dynamic villain. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Other than that, there is one guest appearance that I quite enjoyed. I felt like he stole the scene when he came into it. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about somebody who's a natural comedic talent. And he just, at the cinema I was in, was like, oh my God, you know, they went crazy for him. And he stole every scene he was in. And that's about it. For me, that is the stuff that worked. As an action movie, this movie is going to deliver to mainstream audiences. I don't know how much Fast and Furious fans will get out of this, but it's definitely an action movie that anybody who's going into this and they just want to switch off and enjoy some explosions and some car chases and a couple of fight scenes, they will probably be entertained by this. But I have to talk about the negatives. And for me, there are a lot of them. First of all, this movie is supposed to be part of the Fast and Furious franchise. Putting aside all the stuff we've read in the background between Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel, putting aside all of that, it's supposed to be a spin-off of that world. So of course, family comes into play. And that is where I feel this movie really starts to suffer. There is a lack of sincerity with the drama and the family stuff in this. At least I felt so. It felt forced and it felt cheesy. Say what you will about Vin Diesel and the Fast and Furious family. It's somehow it's endearing. Somehow it's full of heart. Somehow it's believable. Vin and Paul built that together. May he rest in peace. They built that. So even though we have this over-the-top grandiose action movie, it still has a lot of heart. In this movie, it lacks that heart. It lacks that sincerity. They introduce it, they have it, they talk about family. Both Hobbs and Shaw dealing with family stuff. I actually found Shaw's stuff to be a little more grounded, a little more believably executed. The stuff with Hobbs just felt so cheesy to me. Then there are the action sequences. Like I said before, there are 3 good ones, and to me that is it. A lot of this is very poorly edited. It's chopped up. You can't see what's going on. You can't see who's hitting who properly. There's a fight sequence in the early with Jason Statham and some bad guys, and I was like getting a headache. I couldn't figure out what was what. I think I count like maybe 7, 8, 9 cuts between just him and one guy. And Jason Statham could handle himself physically, so I don't see why that is necessary. So a lot of, besides 3 major action sequences, the rest of this stuff just felt really badly done to me. Some of the CG is really obvious and it pulls you out, you know, because you're like, oh, come on, you know. You could tell, okay, fine, it's CG. And granted, we know a lot of this stuff has been CG for quite some time, a lot of the stunts. I just miss the early days of when a lot of it was practical. And there's also the second cameo appearance in this. Now, I said natural comedic talent, and you all might be wondering which one of them I'm referring to. But I think if you've seen this movie, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Because while they're both comedians in their own right, the second cameo in this did not work for me. It felt tacked on. It felt like, well, this person is my friend, so I got a chance to be in this movie, and we did a movie before, so I can pop into your movie. It was unnecessary. Anybody else could have been in that role, and it pulls you completely out of the film when it happens. Unlike the first cameo appearance, which, while it is jarring, this person is so good that he just slides in a way that you want to see more of him. He pops up in the post-credits, and you want to see more of him in the sequels that we know are going to come to this. So this film is very much a mixed bag for me. I think it will entertain mainstreamers, but fans of the Fast and Furious franchise, I think they go into this for something a little different. It's because this is not... Yes, the movies on their own, they seem ridiculous and over the top, but they hold a fun place in the hearts of the fans of this franchise. And Hobbs and Shaw for me feels like it just did not, I don't know, it's a spin-off, yes, but it doesn't feel like it's connected properly to the franchise. It just feels like they're trying to make more money on the back of the franchise by tagging the name Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. Just call it Hobbs and Shaw and move on, in my opinion, right? It doesn't need, it could have actually been its own thing and you wouldn't even know, honestly. There was really very tenuous connections other than those two characters. What other connections are there to this franchise? So I've gone on and on. I'm sorry guys. Let me just get to my rating. And for me, Hobbs and Shaw is a 5.5 out of 10. Should you go see it in cinemas? That's up to you. Honestly, that's up to you. I did. It's fine. Could I have waited to see this on at home? Yeah. Honestly, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference because visually, there's not much going on there that I feel like I really want to experience this on a big screen. You know, there are movies like that where you just feel like I have to see this on the biggest screen available. This wasn't one of those movies for me. So Hobbs and Shaw gets a 5.5 out of 10. And that's it, guys. Oh my god, I didn't realize I would go on and on about this movie like this. Such a straightforward action film when you think about it. If you guys like this video, please feel free to hit that thumbs up button. It's really appreciated, guys. If you want to subscribe to my channel, of course, you can click on my face right over there. And for past videos, you guys can check those out there. So that's it, guys. And until next time, bye-bye.